Part 145. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 1451. Wu Yu was in front of the wheel-turning Ghost King. Due to the change in position, he could now use the corner of his eyes to see the existence of the wheel-turning Ghost King. Wu Yu could clearly see the intrigue between the wheel-turning Ghost King and the Moying Ghost King. Taiwan Novel Network Rightward Arrow. This combination made Wu Yu just want to laugh. Although he was not the white-eyed ghost lord, he had also digested the memories of white-eyed ghosts. When using this identity, there would always be some substitutions invisibly. If Bai Mu himself encountered this situation, he would definitely be in a rage. Forget it, I can only replace Bai Mu and let you down again. Wu Yu sneered in his heart. He knew something about Mo Yin Ghost Lord and knew that he was one of the most popular figures at almost this level in the 10,000 layers of hell. The son of the judge. The future is also very promising, and he will become an immortal emperor demon. The Zhou Xiaoyan pen in your hand is enough to make many ghost kings frightened by the news. The Moying Ghost Lord was wearing an underworld official uniform and a high hat. He was cold, and his eyes were oily green, like two will-o'-the-wisps burning. He hated Wu Yu at first because Wu Yu was about to bump into him. However, there were previous examples of Qin Yuling being shocked even closer after fighting, so he wanted to try his luck. Maybe we can get ahead of the Chalk Ghost Lord. Moreover, by taking care of the White-Eyed Ghost King, he can also get the support of the Starry Sky Prison Master, which is also a good deal for him. Now that the two of them were getting closer, Mo Yin Gijun's gloomy eyes had enveloped Wu Yu's whole body. On the contrary, Wu Yu's white eyes were without any color at all, looking empty and lifeless, as if he was frightened by the other party. There are many people around, paying attention to the collision here. After all, at the same moment, no other small world appeared in this still space. Finally, Wu Yu's body came into contact with the Mo Yin Ghost Lord. For a brief moment, the space around the two people formed a vortex, swallowing them up. Amidst the turbulence of the water, they appeared in a small independent world. Wu Yu finally regained his ability to move. He took a closer look and found that the surrounding mountains and rivers were beautiful, with green mountains and rivers, wide land at their feet, and flowing water above them. Many prison lords have tried to create a sky curtain composed of water flow before. If you want to leave here, it is unrealistic to rush out from the water curtain. You can only defeat your opponent. Wu Yu could try using somersault clouds, but he didn't choose to do so. Who knows where he would fly to? Moreover, for Bai Mu, this was an important battle to prove his hatred. After all, this white-eyed father is still counting on Mo Yin Gijun to teach his son a lesson. No matter what Wu Yu said, he couldn't escape from here. Counting to count, he had fought head-on with the Ghost King, but he had never had a formal confrontation with the descendant of the Emperor Demon who was at a similar level to himself, or the descendant of the Emperor Immortal outside. Wu Yu's desire to win also wanted to see what was the gap between himself and the proud men of heaven and hell. The Monkey King must be the immortal emperor. Their parents are also the immortal. They have inherited the inheritance and can cross the river by feeling the stones. But they are guided by the immortal emperor personally. Who is better? Revealed immediately. Many ghost kings, prison lords, and descendants of the emperor demon looked through the water and saw the two villains inside, especially the wheel-turning Ghost King. He was right in front of the water droplet and in the right direction, so he could see better than others. Much more clarity. His eyes were cold and indifferent, thinking that he must ask Mo Yin Gijun to send Wu Yu out of here quickly. Of course, when others looked at it, they were basically sure that Wu Yu was out. This kind of elimination was probably the result of leaving the Storm Silver Blade Ball. After all, he was not out yet and then came here again. Emperor Xianshang, Qin Yuling and other descendants of the emperors and immortals can basically pass the test when faced with the Ghost King, not to mention ghost kings like Wu Yu. His only advantage over the ghost king Mo Yin is that he is older, and he does not even have any realm. The advantage is that he is almost the weakest in the game. Of course, it is impossible to stop Mo Yin Gijun. I wonder if Mo Yin Ghost Lord, after defeating this person, can be like the young palace master Qin Yuling, who got a blessing in disguise and made a big step forward. Or can he be like Emperor Xian Shang, who deviated from the direction and fell short of the success? Everyone is guessing and imagining in their hearts. The only one who has some confidence in Wu Yu is Qin Yuling, but she is also frowning. If she meets other descendants of the Emperor Demon, she feels that Wu Yu still has a chance. She has no confidence in defeating the Mo Yin Ghost Lord. Even if defeated, it may still require a life and death battle, so she almost thinks that Wu Yu is more likely to be more dangerous than lucky. In this case, she will lose an effective helper. After all, Mo Yin Gijun had seen Wu Yu defeat Purple Eyes, and knew that Wu Yu still had some skills, so he didn't trust him. At this moment, they were facing each other in the green mountains and green fields. His face was cold, and he turned his hands. He refined his own Taixu artifact, which was the Jeshuyan brush. It was a gray writing brush, 3 feet long. It looked like a short gun in the hand. The tip of the pen was wrapped in black mist, making ghosts cry and wolves howl. That strange black mist is the embodiment of a kind of heavenly rule, called the longevity-breaking heavenly rule. The so-called longevity rule is a kind of rule that damages flesh and blood, immortals, and gods, and robs the essence. If it passes by, the flesh and blood will be permanently damaged, the immortals and gods will be torn apart, it will be difficult to recover, and they will age quickly. This has reached the point of breaking life. Purpose, frankly speaking, the power and the rules of this Taixu artifact still look quite terrifying. In comparison, although Wu Yu's heavenly blood flag is also a Taixu artifact, it looks very ordinary, even shabby. This chapter is not over yet, please click on the next page to continue reading. This heavenly blood flag also made the Mo Yin Ghost King sneer, "Your treasure is almost the same as what I played with when I was a child. Do you want to use it against me? Weapons are not important, what's important is the person who uses the weapon," Wu Yu said lightly. "Oh? You have a certain level of self-consolation skills. A discerning person can tell from their mouth shape that it is full of asterisk flavor. The key is that time cannot be wasted now." Just after saying 2 sentences, the Mo Yin Ghost King directly took action. His black robe fluttered in the wind, like a ghostly scholar. At this time, holding the Zhe Shaoyin pen, he came with the wind, with a majestic feeling, as if he was about to write a magnificent poem with his pen. The battle broke out from then on. When the Mo Yin Ghost King attacked vigorously, Wu Yu looked like he was just in a daze. In fact, Wu Yu had already performed the law of heaven and earth in secret. Now he only needed to improve his physical strength to completely stabilize the increase in his body size. Therefore, the outside world could not see this magical power at all. After all, the people outside were still separated by a world. Although Wu Yu could not see the outside clearly now, he naturally knew that a group of people represented by the Will Ghost King were watching this battle. After the law of heaven and earth, Wu Yu was already full of explosive power. The power of the flesh and blood world surpassed the power of the immortal world and became his primary power. He rolled up the flag of the Tianhuang blood flag and used it as a spear. When the opponent's life-reducing Yin Pen's life-reducing heavenly rule came, he suddenly moved. Even if the speed was reduced, it was still quite fast. The key was that the power was extremely fierce. The Ghost King Mo Yin had a cold expression, looking down on Wu Yu. He was also very casual when he started. At this time, he wielded the brush and ink, descended on Wu Yu's head, and then wrote the words. His movements were swift and fierce. In a short moment, he used the life-reducing Yin Pen to kill the word death. The word death was composed of thick black mist, and the power of the heavenly rules was contained in it. At this time, it was like Mount Tai, smashing towards Wu Yu's head. During the flying, there was a shadow of death, covering his head. After the Ghost King Mo Yin made a move, he quickly stopped and put down his pen to watch. Obviously, he was confident that this move could take Wu Yu's life. I never expected that at this moment, Wu Yu's face remained unchanged, all his strength was concentrated on his body, and the heavenly blood flag in his hand pierced out. On the tip of the spear, light shone, and a red light penetrated. He rushed out like a cannonball. The blooded heavenly rules in the heavenly blood flag did not give in at all. Under Wu Yu's strong support, the heavenly blood flag rushed into the word death like an arrow from a string, and instantly shattered the life-reducing heavenly rules and disappeared into thin air. What? Mo Yin Ghost King's oily green eyes were startled, a little incredible. He knew that even the Ghost King would not dare to take his attack head-on. Wu Yu's ability to destroy it so powerfully was definitely beyond his expectation. Not only him, but those outside who had no intention of watching this battle originally, thinking that there was no suspense at all, were also completely stunned at this time, with incredible eyes. Of course, this was just the first confrontation. It was because the Ghost King Mo Yin was a little careless. It didn't mean anything at all. As expected by everyone, after the first attack was resolved, the Ghost King Mo Yin was provoked and became furious. He suppressed it again. This time, the speed of writing was much faster than before, and it was not a word, but a sentence, or even a paragraph. Yellow Spring Road, Broken Soul Bridge, Soul Flying. For a while, large characters with deathly aura fell from the sky and surrounded Wu Yu from all directions. The Ghost King Mo Yin was still writing. It was said that he could write to the point of defeating the enemy. According to his current efficiency, several characters could be written in the blink of an eye. Heaven and earth mourn, catastrophe comes, shattered bones, and extinction. This is not a word of death. The horror of the life-reducing heavenly rules was fully displayed at this time. Wu Yu had just broken a few words when he was completely surrounded by dense words. If these words were suppressed on his body, they could directly absorb Wu Yu's lifespan and cause serious damage. Outside, when everyone saw that Wu Yu was completely suppressed, they suddenly realized that this was the real difference between them. Just now, Ghost King Mo Yin was just a little too arrogant. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 1452. Resuppressing, Mo Yin Ghost King was very satisfied. Seeing Wu Yu dodging in a panic and completely unable to resist under the life-reducing rules of his life-reducing yin pen, he was very satisfied. Of course, he was provoked just now, and he was angry, so he was no longer polite. At this time, even if he was completely sure to defeat the opponent, he did not stop, but appeared directly above Wu Yu's head, close at hand, and continued to write again. Wu Yu's speed of writing a word was 1/5 of his speed of writing a word. Now Wu Yu has been surrounded by dense life-reducing words, lingering on, and the situation is completely under the control of Mo Yin Ghost King. Next, the words will increase. Once Wu Yu's defense line collapses, any word that hits him can cause him to lose thousands of years of life and be directly seriously injured. This is the terrifying power of this life-reducing yin pen. This is not just as simple as the legend that a stroke of the enemy can reduce hundreds of years of life. I don't want to hurt you badly. First, you are unlucky and have to run into me. Second, your father supports me on the condition that I teach you a lesson. It seems that you are really not doing well. Even your father wants me to teach you a lesson. Haha. Ghost King Mo Yin couldn't help laughing in his pride. After Emperor Xuanhuan and Qin Yunling showed their strength and won the praise of Ghost Kings and Prison Masters, it would be his turn soon. He always thought that he was at the same level as Emperor Xuanhuan, but no prison master was willing to support him so far. This made him unbearable and unbalanced. Finally, today he established his prestige once, which would definitely attract a lot of attention. It was indeed as he thought. His current attack was indeed close to the level of Emperor Xianyang and others. Many prison masters and ghost kings saw it. There were also ghost kings and prison masters who were wavering in their hearts. They might have the same idea as the ghost king of the wheel. Moying Ghost King is indeed not much worse than Emperor Xianyang and Qin Yunling. Seeing that Moying Ghost King was crushing Wu Yu, many ghost kings and prison masters had almost the same opinion in their hearts. As for the wheel-turning Ghost King, he saw it most clearly. All this was within his expectations. Seeing that Wu Yu had no way to escape, he snorted coldly. He was very satisfied with such a lesson given to Bai Mao. After all, when he was about to get the 9-colored bead, he let his own son destroy it. At that time, he was so angry that he vomited blood. Of course, even a tiger will not eat its own cubs. He didn't want Bai Mao to die, but even if Moying Ghost King taught him a lesson, he would have to teach him a lesson himself. Only then can he relieve the hatred in his heart. In this case, let's give up. Zhi Mao doesn't have this luck. Next, concentrate on serving Moying Ghost King. If he can help, let his father give him an 8th grade Fairy King seal, then Zhi Mao's future will be limitless. The wheel-turning Ghost King has made up his mind. Nothing can change again. But he never expected that at this moment, a change actually happened. At this time, Moying Ghost King did not hold back at all, almost trying his best. He was eager to show himself and did not give Wu Yu too many chances to survive. He even wanted to kill him. There were already nearly 100 words, forming a storm, surrounding Wu Yu and bombarding him. These were not simple words, but all of them were life-shortening rules. For ordinary people, it was a nightmare. Wu Yu did admit that his weapon was powerful and the rules were terrible, but this did not affect it. He was lying in wait, waiting for the other party to be more careless. Under the other party's suppression, he was waiting for an opportunity to explode. Buzz. At this moment, a large number of words overturned, like a storm falling. Moying Ghost King had stopped and finally stopped writing. He naturally believed that this storm of hundreds of words could kill Wu Yu more than 10 times. When he stopped and relaxed, Wu Yu was waiting. At this moment, as everyone was paying attention to Wu Yu's destruction, he suddenly unfolded the Tianhuang blood flag. The Tianhuang blood flag became extremely huge, and the flag was intercepted outside and swept across, completely blocking Wu Yu inside the Tianhuang blood flag. People naturally thought that Wu Yu was trying to save his life in the end, and he had no other choice but to save his life. Obviously, the Tianhuang blood flag could not stop the hundreds of text storms. In a very short time, the entire Tianhuang blood flag was completely torn apart, and the flag was broken into several parts. It felt that there was no room for repair. The Tianhuang blood flag was almost destroyed. The Tianhuang blood flag was torn apart, and Wu Yu had no support. Seeing the blood flag torn apart, Moying Ghost King smiled. For everyone outside, this battle was actually over, and the next suspense was whether Wu Yu could survive. But Moying Ghost King's smile only lasted for a moment. The next moment, Wu Yu suddenly appeared behind the Tianhuang blood flag in a place he could not feel. At this time, he formed seals with both hands. For a moment, the space shook, and a breath of death enveloped the heart of Moying Ghost King. Then he saw that Wu Yu's palm had been inserted into the Kinkan space, and then disappeared, as if his palm had been broken. He didn't know that this was the Annihilation Cloud Seal. Inducement, vibration. Buzz. The power of the Annihilation Cloud Seal exploded, and the void shook violently, forming terrifying ripples, causing a large area of Kinkan space to shatter directly. Turned into powder. If only the Kinkan space was shattered, Moying Ghost King in this space could still escape, but at this time it was the void that was really shaking. Boom! The terrifying power tore Mo Yin Ghost King's body in all directions at once. Not just in all directions, but in all directions. Every small direction has infinite, destructive power. This chapter is not finished yet. Please click on the next page to continue reading the exciting content. Mo Yin Ghost King suddenly had a stiff face. He was a little confused and a little unconvinced. At this time, he could only remember that this seemed to be an attack by Wu Yu, but looking down, his body had been shattered and rolled into the void. There was no pain of death, only the shattering of the body and the dissipation of consciousness. The next moment, he widened his eyes and even his head disappeared. It can be said that Mo Yin Ghost King was extremely shocked to die in battle. In shock, he had no time to regret and fear, and he didn't even expect that he would be killed by such a person, and he was dead. After all, with his identity, no one in the entire starry sky hell dared to kill him. This was impossible in itself, and it did not exist at all. Even the prison masters did not dare to really hurt him, let alone kill him. Even some ordinary immortal emperors and demons did not dare to touch the son of Judge Xuanhuan. So, an impossible and completely unreasonable thing happened just like that. The void was torn apart, and the Mo Yin Ghost King died in the battle. After his death, Wu Yu easily escaped from those dissipated words, and even the life-reducing yin pen was put away by him. This was a very good Taixu artifact and could still be used for a while. However, the astonishment spread from the small world to the outside. Of course Wu Yu knew that he had killed the Ghost King Mo Yin, but after all, he was in the identity of Bai Mao. If the other party wanted to kill him, he would not be polite. After all, it was easy to kill someone when the Annihilation Cloud Seal was used. If he did not force himself to death, Wu Yu would not kill him. These were mutual. As for the Judge Xuanhuan, after all, he was a ghost god in hell. Wu Yu did not believe that he could still find himself in the heavenly court as Wu Yu. Next, Wu Yu was repelled from this small world and returned to the static space. Just after coming out, his body was still turning. As for which direction he would turn, it depended on luck. His turning body, this certain fact, made the Ghost Kings, prison masters, and Emperor Demon descendants present even more confused. If they could not look at each other and speak at this time, they would have gone crazy long ago. The Ghost King of Bai Mao killed the Ghost King Mo Yin? But, the son of Judge Xuanhuan. No matter who it was, such a result was impossible for them to accept and had never imagined. Those prison masters and Ghost Kings turned their eyes to Wu Yu, and then to the Ghost King of the Wheel. If they were not unable to move, their eyes would have fallen out. And those Emperor Demon descendants were completely cold in their hearts. They did not expect that their Emperor Demon descendants would die. Even if they were the most ordinary Emperor Demon descendants, their father was only the first level of the immortal Emperor Demon. He did not think that he would die at all, and he could not even be injured. But at this time, the Ghost King Mo Yin died in front of them without any negotiation. Moreover, the murderer was not the prison master, but the son of the prison master. He was a very old man, but he was only a Ghost King of the 9 realms. In their eyes, he was completely equivalent to a waste. First they were stunned, then they were shocked, and then they were still unwilling to believe their eyes. Wu Yu's body flipping in the air was already extremely long for them. Even Emperor Xianyang, Ghost King Bake and Qin Yunling were frightened by Wu Yu at this time, especially Qin Yunling. She was also worried that others would think that this was her instruction. Now the only thing she could think of was to quickly cut off her relationship with Wu Yu, otherwise she would be in trouble in the future. Of course, the person who was most shocked was the Ghost King of the Wheel, who saw it clearly. His eyes were dull and he didn't react for a long time. First, he couldn't believe that Bai Mao had the strength to kill Mo Yin Ghost King. He really didn't believe it, so he even thought it was an illusion. Second, Bai Mao killed Mo Yin Ghost King, and he had no one to turn to. Now no one dared to accept his help. Once Mo Yin Ghost King died, it was basically certain that his whole family of the Ghost King of the Will would die without a burial place. Bai Mao was dead, Zi Mao was dead, and he himself was dead. Everything was over, and there would be no suspense at all. The Ghost King of the Will was struck by lightning. In disbelief, he even wanted to cry loudly. The static space was originally dead silent, and now it was even more dead silent. Then, people saw that Wu Yu finally stopped and rushed towards the Cretaceous Ghost King at a very fast speed. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 1453. When Wu Yu killed the Mo Yin Ghost King, the people in this static space could not receive any information from the outside world. Little did they know that at this time, the billions of ghosts and gods outside were already in full swing and ready. The huge gathering stars thousand absolute array has expanded like a huge disk with a silver needle stuck in the back. At this time, the silver needle is against the 100,000 layers purgatory vortex array, and hundreds of millions of ghosts and gods have fallen on this disk. Compared to the previous funnel shape, it has obviously increased too much. Now all the ghosts and gods outside are standing on the same front. They have been waiting for this moment for a long time, and there may even be immortals among them. The longer they wait, the more anxious they are, worried that the treasures inside will be taken away by the prison masters, ghost kings, and descendants of the emperors and demons first. Although there are many people, it is actually quite quiet, because everyone is waiting for the ghost kings who are planning to send signals. Now, the Juxing-Kinjug formation is ready, just waiting for a signal, and everyone will attack at the same time to burst this 100,000 layer purgatory whirlpool formation. Although there are as many as 100,000 layers, it is difficult for ordinary people to break through, but now hundreds of millions of ghosts and gods are gathered, you can imagine. In this dead silence, when everyone held their breath, suddenly, a ray of light flew out from the core of the disk, rushed to the sky, and then suddenly exploded above the heads of hundreds of millions of ghosts and gods, exploding into a dazzling blood-red flower. This is the signal. At the moment of the explosion, the ghosts and gods were boiling. They shouted angrily as if they had been injected with chicken blood. For a while, the voices of hundreds of millions of ghosts and gods gathered together, which was itself a strong shock. Boom. Then, they almost used their abilities at the same time and instilled them into this Juxing-Kinjug formation. For a while, the Juxing-Kinjug formation, which was slightly dim before, suddenly became brighter by tens of millions of times. All the power converged towards the silver needle in the center. The Ghost King sect, which arranged the Juxing-Kinjug formation, spent a lot of effort. It was not easy to build the veins of this immortal formation and make it non-conflicting. At least for now, the power of hundreds of millions of ghosts and gods has converged towards the silver needle, and it seems that there is no big problem. The shining light of the silver needle is even more terrifying. Although it has not officially touched the vortex immortal formation, it can be clearly seen that under such an offensive, the vortex immortal formation is already in danger. In fact, in the vortex immortal formation, although there are 100,000 layers, the ghost kings who stayed inside can see it clearly. In fact, they saw it clearly before, but they couldn't stop it. The people outside were very careful. Once they went out to destroy it, they would definitely be swallowed up by the attacks of the ghosts and gods, and the number of ghost kings outside was no less than that inside. The key point is that at this time, even if they use the best communication fairy talisman to send messages inside, they can't pass them to those people inside. Anyway, they have tried, but there is no way. There are a few ghost kings who came out from inside, but after they came out, They were all seriously injured and were healing their wounds. It was useless at all, and they couldn't decide anything. Although Zai Mao recovered a lot at this time, she was even more helpless. Seeing that the two fairy formations were about to collide, she couldn't help but say, "We might as well go in here. Anyway, this fairy formation can't stop them. There will definitely be chaos next." In fact, everyone understood, but no one dared to stand up and say it. After all, the descendants of the previous emperors and demons asked them to stay outside. The most authoritative here is the Fu Shengyi Zhan that Qin Yunling played. He has experienced a period of recuperation. At this time, he opened his eyes and saw the situation outside. When he thought of the inside, he immediately stood up. Although his injuries were not fully recovered, he quickly rushed into the storm silver blade ball again. "Go in. Everyone." Someone took the lead, and the other ghost kings were waiting for an opportunity. Anyway, they couldn't change anything about the 100,000 layer purgatory whirlpool array, so they might as well go in first and try their luck. Zai Mao also entered the storm silver blade ball under the protection of the starry sky hell ghost king. Zai Mao's heart trembled a little. This scene was a little familiar, very much like before the star protection array was broken. "I don't know if my father has gained anything, I don't know if Bai Mao died in it." Holding such a confused mood, she disappeared into the storm silver blade ball. When they just entered the storm silver blade ball, the star-gathering thousand absolute array had already penetrated the 100,000 layer purgatory whirlpool array with force. The sharp silver needles penetrated through the whirlpools and tore them apart. For a while, the collision of the two immortal arrays caused an extremely huge and surging movement. The huge energy sent out fierce vibrations. The explosion of the vortex immortal array released countless chaotic forces, which directly shattered many ghosts and gods into pieces. Boom boom boom. Every explosion of the vortex immortal formation was accompanied by a loud bang, and of course many ghosts and gods fell. However, this could not scare so many ghosts and gods at all. They were like crazy. Seeing the immortal formation explode, they were naturally more excited. The Juxing Kinjuk formation was incomparably hard and overbearing under the power of hundreds of millions of ghosts and gods. To them, the 100,000 layer purgatory vortex formation was actually not that big. Finally, the 100,000 gray vortex was completely shattered. Then it explodes completely and disappears into thin air. The ghosts and gods also expended a lot of energy. When they saw that their goal had been accomplished, of course they chose to save energy. This caused the star-gathering thousand Ju formation to quickly lose its power and completely collapse. The two immortal formations perished almost at the same time, leaving only hundreds of millions of ghosts and gods, and the storm silver blade ball that finally appeared in the ashes. Hundreds of millions of ghosts and gods have been waiting for the storm silver blade ball for too long. Because there were so many people, there was no dispute between them at this time. They all rushed towards the storm silver blade ball. The key is that when these hundreds of millions of people are piled together, their volume alone is several times larger than that of the storm silver blade ball. It's like hundreds of people are crowded into a small room. How can they fit in? Anyway, the ghosts and gods at the back can only see the faster and luckier people in front of them crowding in. When it is their turn, they seem to be able to enter. The seemingly small storm silver blade ball, in a short time, it is really an exaggeration to swallow hundreds of millions of ghosts and gods completely. After all, it is too chaotic. It is not clear how many immortals are mixed in. Everyone is looking for the 10th grade immortal king seal. Of course, there are a few people who are not here for the 10th grade immortal king seal at all. They take advantage of the chaos and specifically pick up the relics next to the corpse. In fact, the harvest is greater this way. This category, he is the real smart man. Many ghosts and gods died just now because of the confrontation between the two immortal formations, so there are still some left outside. Basically, they were picked up by crazy people. You only need to collect a few relics of ghosts and gods, which is actually a huge harvest. Instead, he was completely focused on the 10th grade Immortal King Seal. In fact, it was impossible to gain anything. Of course, Wu Yu and the others have no idea what is happening outside now, nor do they know how many ghosts and gods the Storm Silver Blade Ball has absorbed. They cannot hear anything and cannot move at all in this still space. Now it is Wu Yu who, when you killed the Moyin Ghost Lord, everyone was still shocked by this incident. Poor Chakravartin King, he is still confused. But before people could react, another thing happened immediately, that is, after coming out of the small world, Wu Yu turned around a few times and headed towards the 9 color beads faster than the Chalk Ghost King could. Crash the Chalk Ghost King. Although Wu Yu's direction this time is not that of the 9 color beads, he can still come from the side faster. Judging from the situation, in less than 30 breaths, he will hit the 9 color beads that are already facing him. The beads are already close at hand to the Chalk Ghost Lord. The whole audience was in a happy mood. Even his biggest competitor, Emperor Xianshang, had deviated from the direction and was about to pass by the 9 colored beads. However, Qin Yuling was still behind him. It looked like, he is the last person who hopes to get those 3 beads. He estimates that he will hit them in another quarter of an hour. What he never expected was that after Wu Yu killed Moyin Ghost Lord, he would directly run into him. The White Ghost Lord was so angry that he almost exploded, he was just a little short. It was completely unexpected that Wu Yu would change like this at this time. Seeing Wu Yu bump into him, there was no way to change at all. It was as if he had eaten shit in front of everyone. In addition, Wu Yu and Qin Yuling had attacked him before, how could he not be angry? From the look in his eyes, you could tell that he was filled with rage and wanted to kill Wu Yu thousands of times. But even so, it still can't change the fact. People are still immersed in the horror of Moyin Ghost Lord's death in battle. Wu Yu is in their field of vision. There is no suspense. He collides with the White Ghost Lord. The White Ghost Lord, he was originally the closest to the 3 beads, but now he is better. If Wu Yu disturbs him, it is very likely that Qin Yuling will catch up with him, or even surpass him. The key is, judging from Wu Yu's previous methods of dealing with the Moyin Ghost Lord, he is not weak. It will definitely take time for the Chalk Ghost Lord to deal with him. Let's see now, how long this time will be, and whether Qin Yuling can take the opportunity to surpass him. He did it. Qin Yuling smiled anyway. He didn't expect Wu Yu to be able to help like this at this time. The two were once again involved in the small world. Wu Yu was about to fight 2 times in a row, with little chance to rest in between. When he stabilized his body, he had already seen the Chalk Ghost King and was half angry to death. His already pale face became even paler. He stared at Wu Yu and growled in a low voice, "If I don't kill you today, I will be your grandson." Wu Yu said in astonishment, "This is inappropriate. How can Tang Tang Bai Vachang, the eternal demon emperor, be my son?" Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Feng Qing Yang. Chapter 1454. The White Ghost King was particularly angry with Wu Yu. Writing this, I hope readers will remember our domain name Taiwan Novel Network Rightward Arrow. He never expected that at such a juncture, when he was so anxious, Wu Yu would not only humiliate him, but even his father, the majestic eternal demon emperor Bai Vachang, would dare to humiliate him. For the first time, Wu Yu ignored his threat and joined forces with Qin Yuling to attack him, leaving him in a very embarrassed state. The second time, when he was about to get the 3 beads, Wu Yu actually blocked his way. The third time was a humiliation he had never heard of before. Even Emperor Xianshang would not dare to say such words. He has always been the one to humiliate others, but what he heard today made him doubt that he had heard wrong. But, it's impossible for him to hear it wrong. and it was also confirmed that I could hear it completely. The White Ghost King was filled with smoke, but at this time, Wu Yu was still smiling playfully. Seeing his contented expression, Bai Gijun's mind was about to explode. Now he can only cut Wu Yu into 8 pieces, so he can only calm down a little. In fact, looking at the shape of Wu Yu's mouth, the Ghost Kings, prison masters, and descendants of the Emperor Demon outside could all tell what he was talking about. So audacious and treasonous. Wu Yu is challenging the limits of their imagination again and again. Especially when the wheel-turning Ghost King was still racking his brains to think about how he could survive next, Wu Yu's words offended even Bai Vucheng. In the hell of 10,000 layers, he talked nonsense without considering his own strength. This is a capital crime, and among the 9 clans involved, no one will save him. At this moment, Chakravartin Ghost King's whole body was twitching. At the same time, the Chok Ghost Lord sacrificed and refined the Tegzu artifact Wuvong Solidusing Lock. The chain, which was like a chain of white bones, flew around and formed an infinite network. The cold educating soul celestial rule, has filled the entire small world, and the white smoke has condensed into the appearance of skulls. There are tens of millions of them. Just the empty eyes are terrifying. The Chok Ghost Lord has already shown terrifying strength that surpasses the Mo Yin Ghost Lord. In comparison, Wu Yu still looks pitiful. After all, he has already experienced a battle. Facing the furious Chok Ghost King, Wu Yu still seemed weak. Wherever the Wu Yu soul hooking lock went, billions of ghosts were rampant. In anger and desperation, the White Ghost King showed all his strength almost instantly. Not only this Tegzu artifact, but also the people around him were changing. With the impermanent ghost transformation, you can see that the flesh and blood all over his body has become even paler, his eyes and eyeballs have disappeared and become empty. The only bright thing is the bright red tongue, which stretches out more than 2 feet long and hangs on his chest. It is even more horrible. People who didn't know, thought it was his father Bai Vucheng who was present. The impermanent ghost transformation can enhance its strength, which is actually invisible, and it also uses a lot of magical powers. This is a method that the Chok Ghost King will show off when he is fighting desperately. Buzz. The other party didn't talk nonsense at all, and directly controlled the Wu Yu soul hooking locks all over the sky, like countless poisonous snakes, shooting towards Wu Yu. Fighting alone, without Qin Yuling supporting him from the front, Wu Yu was indeed facing a great crisis. However, it was already at this time, and Wu Yu was not afraid of him. He had already used the magic of heaven and earth, and at this time, the power of his physical body had increased to the most terrifying level. The blood flag of Tianhuan was broken last time and was useless now. He now completely depends on himself. Now he doesn't care about letting the Chakravartin Ghost King recognize him. If he wants to win this battle and not be eliminated, he must fight with all his strength, so he also needs the power of other magical powers, such as transformation. There is also the fiery eyes and golden eyes. The other party wanted to kill Wu Yu as soon as possible, and Wu Yu also wanted to take him down quickly. The soul seducing rules, the soul spelling rules, are inherited from the black and white impermanence. Even though they were not close at the moment when the chains were flying, they already had an effect similar to the exorcism technique. However, the exorcism technique was a shock, and this soul-seducing rules it is to seduce and absorb souls, making the opponent appear psychedelic and chaotic, and even the gods and ghosts will split and collapse. Boom boom boom. The dense soul-catching locks were like a downpour, falling overwhelmingly. Once Wu Yu was entangled, the immortal god would definitely be torn apart and die on the spot. Seeing that Wu Yu had nowhere to escape, he suddenly disappeared. Appeared again behind the Chok Ghost King. Presumably many people must be surprised at this time, after all, the White-Eyed Ghost King has never shown such ability. The next moment, the White Ghost King realized that all his violent attacks were in vain. He immediately locked onto Wu Yu's position, and countless Wu soul hooking locks swept across him again. This time, the locked range was larger, which made Wu Yu even more confused. No hiding place. In the ensuing fight, the Chalk Ghost King was attacking crazily. Wu Yu moved wildly and was hit by the White Ghost King several times, but it didn't seem to hurt Wu Yu's fundamentals. Of course, Baichao Ghost Lord is still very careful. After all, he has learned from Mo Yin Ghost Lord's past mistakes. However, he was still worried because he had not been able to kill Wu Yu. Although he could not see clearly outside, he could tell with his toes that Qin Yuling was close enough and even overtaken him. The longer the delay continues, the further away you will be from the 10th grade Immortal King Seal. He was like an ant on a hot pot, anxious. Wu Yu saw that the more anxious he became, the more patient he became. Although he was actually anxious, he knew how to endure it better. When the White Ghost King was covered in white smoke, the Wu soul seduction lock was like a phantom, filling the entire small world, and the soul seduction heavenly rules were everywhere. Wu Yu was in a panic, but after all, he was not seriously injured. Shadow change is very useful in this small world. You little turtle. Do you know how to dodge everywhere? Trash. Trash. No wonder even your father wants to kill you. What a beast. The Chalk Ghost Lord was really irritable and opened his mouth to curse. Since I'm such rubbish and you can't kill me, don't you think you're rubbish too? Wu Yu remained calm and continued to dodge through the void. His control over the way of the void had reached its peak, so his ability to change his body was also limited. Followed by promotion. Fighting also requires attacking the mind. The White Ghost Lord understands these principles very well and often uses them in daily life. But now facing the 10th grade Immortal King Seal, he originally had the greatest chance, but Wu Yu stopped him and entangled him, so his mentality was unbalanced. The further it goes, the more out of balance it becomes. People only saw the Chalk Ghost Lord bombarding him wildly, and it seemed that he was close to being able to completely deal with Wu Yu. At this moment, Wu Yu narrowly dodged again and appeared beside the Chalk Ghost King. In this direction, his back was facing the wheel-turning Ghost King. Only the ghosts and gods opposite the wheel-turning Ghost King could see him. Wu Yu's eyes suddenly burned and erupted into extremely terrifying golden flames. The melting pot of gold and fire, heaven and earth. The furnace of heaven was instantly formed above his head, and the furnace of earth was formed from bottom to top. The entire small world was originally filled with the Chalk Ghost King's Wu soul hook, but now, it is divided into upper and lower parts. But no matter which part it is the world of the flame furnace. The endless flames condense in the furnace and burn to the extreme. They are like the two eyes of the sky and the earth. At this time, they suddenly collide, covering the together. The Chalk Ghost Lord was chasing Wu Yu, and at this moment, he was swallowed up by the melting furnace of gold and fire, heaven and earth. Tiny trick, the Chalk Ghost King was engulfed in flames, and his Wu soul hooking chain was still rampant in the furnace. The golden furnace fire was certainly terrifying, but he resisted with the Tegzu divine artifact, and he could still withstand it for the time being. He actually smiled, finally waiting for Wu Yu to take action. Now it is confusing to the people outside. Firstly, the White-Eyed Ghost King has never used this type of attack, which is far from it. Secondly, because of the furnace flame, there is originally something outside. If the water flow exists, it will be even more difficult to see clearly. The Chalk Ghost King wants to find flaws in Wu Yu's attack, so he is now carrying the power of the furnace of gold and fire. Although the fire of the furnace is very ferocious, especially for him, it is a huge threat. It is a very righteous burning fire, specially designed to burn filth. He is helpless and can only grit his teeth and fight. Now he wants Wu Yu to use it up first. Strength, if he launches his killing move again, Wu Yu will not be able to escape so easily. He has been planning for this moment for a while. Invisibly, his Wu soul hook had blocked every possible location where Wu Yu could appear. He just had to carry it through. At this moment, two things happened. For the Chalk Ghost Lord, this can be considered a sudden change. Of course, he could no longer see the first change. People outside could see it clearly, which was that hundreds of ghosts and gods rushed into this still space in just a short moment. In every subsequent breath, hundreds of ghosts and gods rushed in. They had just rushed in and were all in a circle outside. They had no impact on Wu Yu and the others for the time being, and it was difficult for them to impact Qin Yuling. However, because there were so many of them, a situation occurred, that is, as soon as they came in, many people bumped into each other directly. The first two people who had physical contact directly entered the small world. As a result, countless small worlds appeared on the outer layer of the entire static space. The volumes of these small worlds were the same. At first, the outer layer was directly piled up, and then they crazily squeezed toward the center. In this squeeze, under pressure, although the previous Ghost Kings, Prison Lords and Emperor Demon descendants will not blend into the small world, they will soon collide in pairs. Moreover, the expansion speed of those small world water balls was very fast. The Ghost King, the Prison Lord and the descendants of the Emperor Demon were all swallowed into the small world when they were stunned. After entering, they finally understood what happened, that is, outside the 100,000 layer purgatory vortex formation was broken. It's a pity that the White Ghost King doesn't know yet, but there is no need for him to know. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 1455. The Second Change. This is what the Cretaceous Ghost King experienced personally. That is, Wu Yu's golden fire heaven and earth furnace was not the main attack, but a cover. After releasing this magical power, he shuttled in the void and suddenly appeared. At this time, the Cretaceous Ghost King really locked his position, and those Wuivong soul hooking locks also penetrated. Unexpectedly, at this moment, Wu Yu performed another change, and in this heaven and earth furnace, even others could not see it. Another Yuanyuan seal. But this time is different. Violence technique. The most useful earth demon transformation technique for Wu Yu so far. Under the condition that the original physical power was increased by the law of heaven and earth, it doubled again. At this time, Wu Yu is in the strongest state. Of course, if he changes into a swallowing beast, he can be even stronger, but it is still not so convenient here. Law of heaven and earth plus violence technique, plus the Yuanyuan seal of the somersault cloud. Push out with one palm, and annihilate again. And the power suddenly increased, and it increased by more than double. The power was not covered. The shock of the void shattered and increased again, reaching a level that shocked Wu Yu. The Cretaceous Ghost King was naturally within the range of Wu Yu's void shock. He was still resisting the power of the golden fire heaven and earth furnace. In fact, he had expected Wu Yu's move, but he never expected that when Wu Yu used this move again, it would be more than doubled. Even if he had more expectations, under the absolute destructiveness, the son of Bai Vuchain was completely defeated. The degree and speed of the collapse and shattering made the Cretaceous Ghost King's mind blank. Such a Wu Yu made him only fear, because Wu Yu did not defeat him by means, but by real, absolute strength. In fact, Wu Yu had already killed the Moyin Ghost King, and he didn't need to kill the Cretaceous Ghost King and add possible troubles to himself. After all, the father in front of him was even more terrifying, and was a figure comparable to the giant spirit god. However, Wu Yu saw the changes outside. The situation was very urgent. No one even looked here. Moreover, under the furnace of gold, fire, and heaven and earth, no one could see the situation inside clearly. This instant change obviously gave Wu Yu an opportunity. Moreover, he now needed a new identity. An identity of a higher level than Bai Mao would make it more convenient for him. So he wanted to show mercy in the cloud seal, but he did not show mercy. Instead, he strengthened it again and swallowed the Cretaceous Ghost King with the determination to kill. "Don't kill me," the Cretaceous Ghost King was terrified, his face changed drastically, and he began to scream. His voice broke. Even if his mind was blank, he should have known how terrible Wu Yu was at this time. But it was too late. Wu Yu increased the power of the cloud seal, and the violent technique was fully released. With a loud bang, the power rushed away, and the void was completely shattered. In the loud bang, the void and the Kinkan space, together with the body of the Cretaceous Ghost King, were completely shattered. At this moment, the Cretaceous Ghost King widened his eyes. He finally understood that he had met a terrible madman. He had no fear in his heart, no fear of death at all. But it was too late. He stared at Wu Yu blankly, and then was torn into powder. At the end, he might have many curses and threats to Wu Yu in his heart, but he didn't say them out loud, because Wu Yu's performance showed that he was not worried at all. In the furnace of heaven and earth, the Cretaceous Ghost King completely disappeared in confusion. But Wu Yu did not waste it. He quickly swallowed the Cretaceous Ghost King, and then was immediately rejected by the small world. The power of his golden fire furnace of heaven and earth was also swept away at this time. After killing the opponent, he basically did not stay for a moment. But the outside was already quite chaotic. When Wu Yu just came out, he had already seen the small world on the outer layer, which was densely packed and had squeezed in front of him. Fortunately, almost all the Ghost Kings, prison masters, and descendants of the Emperor and Demon outside were squeezed into the small world and were fighting. He was lucky to solve the Cretaceous Ghost King at this time, otherwise he would be knocked to other places by these small worlds after a while. No one cares about his killing of the Cretaceous Ghost King now, because no one saw it at all. Almost everyone is in the small world. Now the entire static space is almost filled with those small worlds. Some have already solved their opponents and come out from inside. But after coming out, even if no one enters the small world with him, he is already surrounded by the small world. In addition, he can't move. He is lucky not to be squeezed to death. He killed the Cretaceous Ghost King silently. Anyway, the Will Ghost King doesn't know where he is. When Wu Yu killed the Mo Yin Ghost King, the Will Ghost King was already scared, not to mention now. I guess I don't know where he hid to catch his breath. Wu Yu still has to use the identity of the Cretaceous Ghost King, and no one saw it. He just came out now, and he is still spinning, and he didn't let the small world behind him catch up. In the blink of an eye, Wu Yu stopped spinning, and then moved forward at a certain speed. This time, luck finally worked. Now the situation has changed drastically. Looking carefully, the three beads are actually close at hand. And his current direction is exactly in the direction of these three beads. After experiencing 2 life and death battles, it was normal for him to have good luck at this time. After all, he was fighting at such a close position, and it was more likely that he would sway to the normal direction. The Cretaceous Ghost King was originally in the normal direction, so Wu Yu was pushing him away. He looked left and right, and now he was almost level with Qin Yunling next to him. In addition to Qin Yunling, there was another person who was not involved in the small world, that is Emperor Xianyang. He was originally very close, but now he deviated a little and went to the side of the 3 sister beads. But from this situation, it seems that there is a certain possibility that his legs will touch the 3 beads. This chapter is not over yet, please click on the next page to continue reading. Apart from the 3 people, there is no one else, and the small world behind is crowded very quickly. It is unknown whether they will touch the 3 beads first, or be squeezed together by the small world first. If they have to fight with Qin Yunling or Emperor Xianyang for a round, it will be a pitfall. It is estimated that Qin Yunling and Emperor Xianyang do not want this. And there is another point, No one knows what will happen if they touch the three beads. After all, it is not certain that they can get them if they touch them. Now, after all, they can't move, so it depends on luck. Race against time. Now Qin Yunling looked at Wu Yu as if he was looking at a monster. She had never thought that Wu Yu could fight his way out of the battle with the Cretaceous Ghost King. This meant that he was stronger than the Cretaceous Ghost King, at least in the previous battle. That almost meant that even if she met Wu Yu, it would be dangerous. At this time, it didn't matter how old Wu Yu was or how mediocre he was. Here, strength was king. She didn't want to meet Wu Yu either. As for Emperor Xianyang, although his expression could not be seen, the shock in his heart was probably not bad. Next, time passed slowly and excitingly. On the one hand, the small worlds behind were chasing online, and on the other hand, they were also competing. As they approached the three beads, it was not clear who had any advantages. Of course, Emperor Xianyang had the smallest advantage. His feet might not be able to sweep them, while Wu Yu and the others would bump into them directly, and their chests might even hit them directly. Getting more and more thrilling. It was simply thrilling. The Ghost Kings and Prison Masters of the surrounding small worlds saw that they had been squeezed so close to the three beads, and they also wanted to defeat their opponents quickly. However, the strength of those who were close to each other before was basically the same, and some of them were two prison masters who met directly, which was obviously impossible. Finally, Wu Yu was pushed forward by the small world behind him, and his speed was much faster. At this time, Qin Yunling was also the same. Emperor Xianyang on the other side also let the small world push him. He had already run off the position, but he never expected that the small world would push him back and squeeze him to the center. In this way, the three people were squeezed to approach the three beads from three directions, and the distance was almost the same. Now the three people wanted to meet the first one, but they didn't want to meet the other two in advance. Now from Wu Yu's point of view, it is possible to meet any one of them. They are all thrilling moments. Wu Yu's mood today can be said to be ups and downs, and now it is the most thrilling time. It's like a year. The closer you get, the more thrilling it is. Now the three don't want to meet each other. But the more they don't want to, the easier it is to happen. At this time, the hands of the three people are open. According to this trend, they may touch each other at any time, because they can't change their positions and bodies at all. Of course, there was no change in the end. Wu Yu felt that his hands would touch them almost at the same time. It was a bit embarrassing that the Emperor Xianyang on the left was fine, and he should touch his arm, but Qin Yunling's side behind happened to be a towering chest. Qin Yunling's eyes widened and sweated anxiously. She didn't want Wu Yu to touch her, and she didn't want him to touch this position even more. However, the rules of this static space could not be changed at all. Just like that, Wu Yu's palm touched a soft existence. Qin Yunling's face was blue and red. However, Wu Yu was not in the mood to be intoxicated now. Touching it meant entering the small world, but he was depressed because his other hand also touched the Emperor Xianyang at the same time, and there was almost no difference in order. Then, Wu Yu found that he was drawn into a small world. He didn't know whether it was Emperor Xianyang or Qin Yunling who was attacked in the chest who followed him into the small world. When they regained their minds in a world full of birdsong and flowers, they were all stunned because they found that there were three people in this small world of the same size. Wu Yu, Emperor Xianyang, and Qin Yunling were all here. What kind of competition does this mean? Can only one person go out? Even if they go out, the three beads are still there? The next moment, the three of them saw that perhaps because the three beads were in the middle of the three people when they touched each other, they actually appeared in this small world at this time. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Heaven-swallowing record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 1456. Obviously, during the final collision, the three of them collided almost at the same time, and surrounded the three beads at the same time, and finally the three beads were also involved here. Of course, Wu Yu couldn't care less about the reason. Now, after spending so much effort, all three beads are in front of you, and there are two other competitors around. This is the time when the competition is the most intense and thrilling. The three of them almost didn't have any thoughts. The first time I locked on those three beads. They took action almost at the same time, and of course Wu Yu was definitely the fastest because he had the ability to transform. However, what was unexpected was that before they could compete, the three nine-color beads rotating with each other suddenly separated and shot in three directions. Wu Yu and three other people were near these three directions. Of course, they did not hesitate and first took the nine-colored beads flying near them in their hands. I thought something would change, but it didn't happen. Wu Yu easily got the second nine-color bead. He quickly put it into the floating tower and kept it safely. As long as this happens, if someone wants to take this treasure away from him, they may have no choice but to kill him. This is good news. The bad news is that when he successfully obtained this nine-color bead, the other two people, Qin Yuling and Emperor Xianshang, also took away another nine-color bead. They are not fools. Once this thing is in their hands, it will not be easy to get it out of their hands. It may not be necessary to kill the opponent, but without serious damage, it is basically impossible to succeed. When they each got a nine-color bead, this small world still existed and did not collapse or undergo other changes. Doesn't this mean that we each want to hold a nine-color bead, and then the three of us will fight? In this beautiful world, Wu Yu was very clear-headed, and the other two thought the same way. Wu Yu quickly scanned their faces and expressions. Emperor Xianshang looked cold and frowned slightly. But Qin Yuling reacted quickly. She subconsciously approached Wu Yu and stared at Emperor Xianzhuang with a strong look on her face, as if she had completely forgotten about Wu Yu's chest attack just now, and said to Wu Yu, "Bai Mu, help me, I will be grateful in the future." At least Wu Yu had promised to be loyal to her before. But after Wu Yu killed Mo Yingjun, she was anxious to clear up the relationship. But at this time, Wu Yu must be used. After all, there are only three people. Once Wu Yu joins forces with his opponent first, she will be the one who is finished. After all, she didn't break up with Wu Yu. Now is the time to ask for Wu Yu's help. No one can see her joining forces with Wu Yu. When the three of them confront each other, the most fearful thing is to be isolated. Wu Yu happens to be related to Qin Yuling, so it is logical now. If they can work together to solve the Xianshang Emperor, then what's the problem with dealing with Qin Yuling? I guess Qin Yuling thinks so too. Of course, she may also consider whether she is Wu Yu's opponent. Anyway, if they target the Xianshang Emperor first, they can't go wrong. Good. The two of them acted quickly. After all, they didn't know what changes would happen next in this static space. Qin Yuling controlled the mirror of vain death, so she faced the Emperor Xianshang directly and head-on. She needed Wu Yu to use his shadow-shifting skills just like he did against the White Ghost Lord last time, so that he could use his abilities in the dark. Come on. The head-to-head confrontation has officially begun. Emperor Xianshang, on the other hand, had a cold attitude and spoke very little, but seemed to be in control of the overall situation. Seeing the two men attacking him, he immediately retreated, first avoiding the attack of the dead mirror, and then using the Nine Yin Emperor demonic war in his hand. Halberd, unparalleled domineering, and has begun to show its power. The Nine Yin heavenly rules swept across the world, and 9 snake-like Yin energy swept across the world, blocking Qin Yuling's power of killing the mirror. Wu Yu was wholehearted. As long as Qin Yuling concentrated on fighting the enemy, He also wanted to get the third 9-color bead quickly. And then there's the fourth one. They both killed the White Ghost Lord and the Moying Ghost Lord and took such a big risk. If they couldn't get the 9-color beads in their hands in the end, it wouldn't be worth it. Emperor Xianshang was surrounded by two people one after another and bombarded him wildly. Although he was in a critical situation, he still seemed calm enough and took action calmly. At the same time, he seemed to be observing the surrounding water curtain to see if there was any possibility of escaping here. White-eyed Ghost Lord, if I lose, you, who have gone through 3 battles in a row, will also be defeated by her waiting for work. By then, she will be the biggest winner. If you kill Mo Yingijun, she will definitely end her relationship with you. Now, she is just using you for the last time. In the fierce battle, in the sky and on the earth, Emperor Xianshang spoke solemnly and said a few words to Wu Yu. In fact, Wu Yu understands all this, but after 2 consecutive battles, Wu Yu has gained a lot of confidence. Now he just needs to not be the one rejected by the 2. Stop talking nonsense, stop sowing discord. I work for the young palace master, and the treasure I get will naturally belong to her, and the young palace master will protect me. When Qin Yuling was a little nervous, Wu Yu's seemingly stupid answer gave her a sense of security. The 2 of them seemed to have a tacit understanding, suppressing the Xianshao Emperor just like they suppressed the White Ghost Lord. Seeing that the suppression was about to succeed, Qin Yuling drew most of Emperor Xuanshang's combat power and attention. If the Fusion mirror did not exert its full strength, it would be quite troublesome to be entangled by the Fusion heavenly rules. Wu Yu, on the other hand, changed his body and shape, changing left and right, taking the opportunity to use his magical power. At this time, he was about to use the Oblivion Cloud Seal to let the Xianpai Emperor taste what it would be like to experience the shattering of the void. Unexpectedly, at this moment, it seemed that the entire static space was filled with the small world. At the same time, a large number of ghosts and gods rushed into it, colliding together almost instantly, and then forming a small world. When the number of small worlds reached its limit, it could no longer hold on. As the most central small world, it was bearing the pressure of all other small worlds. At this moment, it suddenly exploded. Buzz. Wu Yu was still fighting. With this sudden change, the water curtain, flowers, plants, and trees in the entire world were turbulent, and then torn apart and exploded in an instant, and the entire world fell into chaos. Wu Yu couldn't see anything in front of him, not to mention his opponent, and he could clearly feel that when the world was shattered, other small worlds were affected and began to explode, making bursts of huge roaring sounds, and then, it's a chain reaction. From the inside out, all the small worlds in the static space explode one after another. Wu Yu could see nothing now, only the turbulent sky, earth, and water. Boom boom boom. What happens next is unpredictable. In addition to mud and water, the chaotic things around there are also storm silver blades. This shows that this kind of explosion is not just in this static space, but has spread to the entire storm silver blade ball, the entire Era Divine formation. Wu Yu remembered that the 1000 colors thunder ball also began to die after the 3 9-color beads were obtained. Looking at the changes in the storm silver blade ball, it is obvious that it also started to die from the inside out. He wanted to snatch the other 2 9-color beads, for example, first defeat Emperor Xianshang, and then defeat Qin Yuling, but now he didn't know where the 2 of them were going. There was chaos all around, and the majestic force swept him and hit him. Flying out, you can hear or see other ghosts and gods around you, and they are also attacked everywhere. It seems that the opportunity just now has been missed. Fortunately, there might be another chance. He thought for a moment, and now both Emperor Xianshang and Qin Yuling knew that Baimu had the 9-color beads in his hand, and that Baimu was a killer. It's no longer convenient to use this identity after losing Mo Yingijun. He quickly digested the Chalk Ghost Lord and engulfed everything in it, especially the memory part. Now its top Taegzu artifact Wuyavong Solitusing Lock is also in Wu Yu's hands. Through this Taegzu artifact Wu Yu can use the enchanting heaven rules. This is much more powerful than the blood desolate heavenly rules. Taking advantage of the demise of the era divine formation and the chaos, Wu Yu protected himself and went with the flow. At about a certain time, the surrounding storm seemed to have subsided, but it could also be seen that the power of the entire storm silver blade ball was close to completely disappearing. The starry sky appeared in front of him, and all the ghosts and gods were separated. Wu Yu looked around and saw that the starry sky within his field of vision was occupied by confused ghosts and gods. Now that people have just stabilized their bodies and haven't been able to see their surroundings clearly, Wu Yu has finally digested everything about the White Ghost King. He suddenly transformed, his body shape changed, and his skin suddenly turned pale white, as if he had been painted with thick paint. There is a thick layer of white powder, and the bright red tongue is hidden in the mouth. When you stick it out, you can see that it is extremely long. The simulation of the sky-swallowing giant beast, judging from this, who dares to think that he is not the Chalk Ghost Lord? At this time, Wu Yu also automatically assumed the identity of the White-Eyed Ghost Lord. He was defeated by the White-Eyed Ghost Lord and missed the fight. Now he saw that the storm silver blade ball was gone and the treasure had been snatched away. He of course get angry and yell. Blood Hell Prison Lord. Xiankong Prison Lord. Lei Yang Prison Lord. Volcano Prison Lord. Come here, these are the prison masters who clearly want to be loyal to him, especially the Volcano Prison Lord, who was with the Chalk Ghost Lord at the beginning. It looked like there was a dispute, but in fact it was all an act. He showed his kindness to the White Ghost King from the beginning. According to the rules of the game, it was best for the Creativity Ghost Lord not to summon them, but now that the treasure he was supposed to get was lost, and he lost to Wu Yu, he was so angry that it was not unreasonable for him to roar like this. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 1457. Wu Yu yelled like this. In the current chaotic situation, of course no prison master could hear him. And due to the rules of the game, they would not come directly to Wu Yu. After getting no results, Wu Yu actually confirmed that these people were not with him for the time being, so he directly sent a message talisman to these prison masters to convey his anger to them. Who in the end got those 3 beads? You have to dig deep and help me find them. Help me locate their locations. Now that the storm silver blade ball has disappeared and you have regained all your strength, it should be easy to snatch them. As prison masters, they are much stronger than Emperor Xianshang and the others, and they can indeed grab them easily. But their location must be locked first. Now hundreds of millions of ghosts and gods are suddenly scattered around 1,000 rain stars. Anyone can disguise themselves, making it difficult to find their existence. Soon Wu Yu received a reply. Taiwan Novel Network Rightward Arrow. The Huashan prisoner, Lei Yang prisoner, etc. still don't know who got the 3 beads. They can only guess that it is White Eyes or Qin Yuling, and then say Xianshang Emperor and others it's possible. It was the Xiankong prison master who gave Wu Yu a more certain answer. He said, at the last moment, I just came out of the small world and saw Emperor Xianshang, Bai Mu, Qin Yuling, and the 3 beads. Involved in a small world, the 3 of them should get it. This is only seen by a few people. Almost all the ghosts and gods, including the prison lord and ghost king, as well as the descendants of the emperor and demon, are now confused. Lock the locations of Emperor Xianshang, Qin Yuling and Bai Mu. Help me find them. You can also grab them. Capture them and let them escape, so they will be hard to find. Wu Yu asked them to search in the messenger talisman with a roaring tone. Yes. The prison masters and ghost kings are still quite terrifying when they regain their full strength. Although there are many people at this time, it is still possible based on their abilities. White Eyes not found. This Chakravartin ghost king is hiding somewhere. Why is there no white-eyed ghost lord? Their first choice is of course the white-eyed ghost lord. This person has miraculous abilities within the storm silver blade ball, has caused many big troubles, and is very likely to get treasures. Even if they work for the White Ghost King, they would not dare to snatch the 9-colored beads from the hands of Emperor Xianshang and Qin Yuling. Even if they dare, they can only hide their identities, so Bai Mu, who has no big background, became their first choice when searching. And they guessed that the one the White-Eyed Ghost King hates the most must be the White-Eyed Ghost King. Look for Xianshan and Qin Yuling for me, they are more likely to get it. Wu Yu responded. He was also looking for it himself. At this time, listening to the discussion of the ghosts and gods, most of them didn't know what was going on, and they were all stunned in place. After all, they had never even been to the static space. We found Qin Yuling. She is escaping. There is no prison lord or ghost king around her. Suddenly, he received the messenger talisman from the Blood Hell prison lord. He marked the direction of Qin Yuling's escape for Wu Yu. Judging from the location and direction, it was not very far from Wu Yu. Wu Yu immediately used the somersault cloud to go there. No matter whether it was Qin Yuling or Emperor Xianshang who was chasing him away, he would show no mercy at this time. Although the Blood Underworld prison master found Qin Yuling, he did not dare to intercept him head-on. The 10th grade Immortal King Seal had nothing to do with him anyway. He tried his best to help the White Ghost Lord without offending Qin Yuling. In this way first, Qin Sha forgives the Lord of Zongtian Palace for not targeting him, and maybe Bai Vuchain can reward him. This is the safe way. If he directly takes action, intercepts Qin Yuling and snatches the 9-color beads, it is certainly possible. The key to giving Bai Vuchain more rewards is that the anger of Qin Shaoliangshi Zongtian Palace Master is not so easy to bear. If he were the real Cretaceous Ghost King, he would probably scold the Blood Hell Lord for not intercepting it directly, but it was Wu Yu after all. From Wu Yu's point of view, he just wanted to rob it himself. His speed was terrifying. Somersault clouds traveled through the void, and the distance was not far away. Soon he arrived at that location, and then continued to chase in the direction. The Blood Hell Lord had been hanging Qin Yuling for Wu Yu. At this time, Wu Yu having already caught up with Qin Yuling and locked his position, the Blood Nether Prison Lord asked, "Do you need me to take action? If I take action, I may have to wait until the remaining 10 years are over before I can easily give the 9-color beads to him. If I give it to you openly now, I'm afraid that the Jade Emperor will take back the 9-colored beads." In fact, whether this will be the case is just a guess, but the Blood Underworld Prison Lord does not want to take action and offend the Qin Shaoliangshi Zongtian Palace Lord, so it is reasonable to use this as a shield. Of course, if Wu Yu really wants to force him, there was nothing he could do to help. No need, Wu Yu wished that he would leave quickly. He had already locked onto Qin Yuling. The other party had also disguised himself and changed his appearance. However, their changes could not reach the level of Wu Yu's from the inside out. So he could deceive ordinary people, but he couldn't hide from Wu Yu's fiery eyes. Now that there were many people around, he didn't take action directly, but hung far behind him. In this case, I will be near you. If you need help, just ask. Of course, the Blood Hell Lord did not dare not to help at all. In that case, he would be afraid that the White Ghost Lord would be angry, and the gain would outweigh the loss. Wu Yu didn't bother to care about him, as long as he didn't affect him. The Blood Hell Lord himself did not want to get too close. After all, this was a dispute between the White Ghost King and Qin Yuling, a descendant of the Emperor Demon. No matter how he said it, he would not gain anything. This chapter is not over, please click on the next page to continue reading. Qin Yuling obviously got the treasure and hid. Soon she left the range of the ghosts and gods. She was still escaping quickly and disappeared in an instant. Soon after, Wu Yu looked back and could no longer see the hundreds of millions of ghosts and gods. Now she is heading to other areas, but he is not in a hurry yet. He needs to go further, so that it will be difficult for the Ghost King prison masters to support her. To be honest, Qin Yuling is not weak, but Wu Yu has now devoured the White Ghost Lord and gained huge gains. Although this person is not in the Taigzi Ghost realm, he has been personally trained by Bai Vuchang since he was a child. He has countless blessings in his heart, and he also has a lot of feelings for Wu Yu. Little help, especially its Wuhuang soul lock. As for Emperor Xianshang, he must have run away now, and his 9 colored beads must not be able to catch up. After Qin Yuling got the treasure, she was probably worried that the Ghost King prisoner who was loyal to her would suddenly rebel, so she didn't tell anyone. She directly looked for a safe position and left the battlefield there. She continued to fly at full speed for half a day, and she had already completely left Jianyuxing and felt a lot more relaxed. She stopped on a broken star and couldn't help but take out the 9 colored beads to look at them. She was very intoxicated, although she was a little unwilling to get only one. Send the messenger talisman to Bai Mu and ask him to come over. Qin Yuling's eyes flashed with a cunning light, and he obviously had a certain murderous intention. She was directly looking for the communication talisman. She had left the communication talisman for Wu Yu in the storm silver blade ball before. Wu Yu couldn't wait. If she wanted to send this messenger talisman to him, her secret would be revealed, so before she sent it, he suddenly appeared on the broken star with a cold smile on his lips and said, "Qin Yuling, it was hard for me to chase you, but hard work pays off. I can see that you have this treasure in your hands. It seems that you got it in the end." You, his appearance startled Qin Yuling. She was sweating all over her body. She calmed down after a while and said coldly, "You can't even beat the white eyes. It's really a shame for the descendants of the Emperor and Demon. Why, you didn't get seriously injured in that battle. You still dared to chase me secretly? It seems that you don't want to live long." Wu Yu, with a sinister look on his face like a chalk ghost king, approached his opponent and said fiercely, "Stop talking nonsense, give me the baby, and I will let you leave safely. Otherwise, don't blame me for being rude. Last time you and I haven't settled the matter with you yet for those beasts besieging me." Seeing that she couldn't escape, Qin Yuling had no choice but to fight. She was not afraid of the White Ghost Lord, so she sneered, "It's really ridiculous. I overestimated you before. I didn't expect you to be a piece of trash. Since you came to me to humiliate you, then it's better to obey orders than to be respectful. You have already been humiliated once today. You might as well give it to me again. Let's see then. Do you still dare to show off your power?" Wu Yu's acting skills exploded. He was angry at first, and then his face was full of sinisterness. He looked at the other person's body greedily and said, "Do you think that if we are here to cook raw rice and cooked rice, will your mother agree and betroth you to me, be my concubine, ha ha?" Go to hell, Qin Yuling was sullen, but it was in vain that the mirror had already taken action. In the mirror of vain death, light and shadow flicker, and it seems to be a vast world. The prosperity of the world has returned to dust. Countless blood and haze shroud the heads of the people in the world. Billions of miserable and resentful eyes are projected from the eyes of the people in the world, and then from the mirror. Projected out of it, every pair of resentful eyes has its own story and overwhelming resentment. These resentments gather into light and shine on the space of heaven and earth without the slightest impact. However, if it shines on people, it will be in vain. According to the rules, it will definitely make people's immortals, gods, and ghosts break apart, and their bodies will wither and grow old. Its power should be said to be more terrifying than the Shaoyin pen. Qin Yuling had purple hair and purple eyes, a flying figure, as cold as the night, hiding behind the mirror. With a flip of her hand, the mirror rotated with her, like a cannon, shining on the starry sky, leaving Wu Yu nowhere to hide. And Wu Yu is now the Chalk Ghost King. Under his thoughts, the Wu soul-seducing locks are stacked layer by layer, flying around. In an instant, white bone chains are all over the starry sky. In the soul-spelling locks, the Chalk Ghost King is white-robed and has a long tongue. Wandering around, surrounded by thousands of ghosts, following him like a shadow, the whole world seems to be an army of impermanence. This is actually one of the magical powers of the Cretaceous Ghost Lord, the army of impermanence, which can transform countless ghost shadows, but in fact, what Wu Yu is really using at this time is the law of heaven and earth. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 1458. Either he is a stronger prison master, or he is very familiar with the Chalk Ghost Lord, otherwise it is still difficult to distinguish the difference between the impermanent army of the Chalk Ghost Lord and Wu Yu's current outlaw clone. Moreover, Wu Yu's current attainments in the outlaw clone are getting deeper and deeper as he gets older, and the changes in the clone are also under his control. The mighty white-clothed ghosts are strange, sinister, erratic, and endless. They are all white-robed and long-tongued, with ferocious smiles, which is very scary. Wu Yu is using the appearance of the White Ghost King to display his own abilities. In addition to this extravagant clone, there is also the law of heaven and earth. The methods of the White Ghost King combined with his law of heaven and earth have strengthened his combat power again. Against him, to put it bluntly, the power of this Wu soul hooking lock is much more powerful than the previous heavenly blood flag. At this time, the other party's mirror of death in vain shines, and every time it is swept, it can sweep down a large area of Wu Yu's extrajudicial clones. But now, Wu Yu's extra-legal clones are endless, and he is not worried at all. It will be difficult for Qin Yuling to find him among this impermanent army. This opportunity is rare and needs to be resolved quickly. Taiwan Novel Network Rightward arrow circled M. Continuously defeating Mo Yin Ghost Lord and White Chalk Ghost Lord, the descendants of the Emperor Demon at this level, has given Wu Yu a lot of confidence. Now he knows that there may be a prison lord coming to protect her at any time, and he must use the fastest speed to snatch the 9 colored beads, otherwise, let her escape and disappear into the sea like the ancient Holmium god and Moug. It will be difficult to find her in the future. Under the illumination of the deadly death mirror, Wu Yu allowed his clones to surround him. More and more of his clones flew around, like countless flies, surrounding Qin Yuling. Qin Yuling madly manipulated the impact of the deadly death mirror, causing his clones to scatter down. Turned into ashes, but when she circled around and looked back, she found that the total amount had not changed. The technique of the cry of ghosts in all realms. The Chalk Ghost King has practiced various top-notch realm master magics. Now, after Wu Yu swallowed them, he used his extra-legal clones to cast them at the same time. Suddenly, the power of tens of thousands of clones gathered together, and in the closed space, a shrill cry could be heard. The sound penetrated the eardrums and was overwhelming, having an extremely huge impact on the gods, and ghosts. This scene of thousands of ghosts crying can be said to be quite spectacular. Qin Yuling has never seen such a method before. She felt depressed for a moment, and the mirror became more violent because of the wasted death. She wanted to destroy all the clones, but why did they keep coming? Impermanent soul-burning world technique. The cry of thousands of ghosts before was just the beginning. When Qin Yuling was already upset under the attack of the Realm Master's magic by the extrajudicial clone, Wu Yu broke out again, using the bodies of countless clones to display the Realm Master's magic of the Chalk Ghost King. How come I have never heard that the impermanent army can use the Realm Master's magic? Qin Yuling was a little confused. She remembered that the clone of the impermanent army was just a means of attack, but in the hands of the White Ghost Lord now, it can be used flexibly, but the key is that it cannot be killed no matter how hard it is. In fact, this is where the magical power of the impermanent army cannot be compared with Wu Yu's extra-legal clone. At this time, Wu Yu used his clone again to cast the Realm Master's divine art, the impermanent soul-burning realm art. For a time, every impermanent army's hand was burning with pale soul-burning fire. Starting from the first one, it expanded to tens of thousands. For a time, the entire starry sky seemed to be ignited by this pale flame. Call. Those pale white flames, numbering in the tens of thousands, were densely packed around Qin Yuling. So many soul-burning fires also shocked Qin Yuling. If the White Ghost Lord had such a method, why was he besieged by her and Wu Yu before? When not in use? Why didn't you use it when fighting Wu Yu? She simply didn't have the imagination to imagine that the White Ghost King and Bai Mu could be the same person. Buzz. Countless pale white soul-burning fires roared towards Qin Yuling. The weakness of her mirror of death was that it could not stop such attacks. However, as the young palace master of the Qin Shaliangshi sect Heavenly Palace, she also has many means. Now she pinched a small black ball and exploded it outside. In an instant, the black ball exploded into a huge barrier and formed a sphere. Protected in the middle. This is also a Taixu artifact, created specifically for defense. This huge barrier blocked the soul-burning fire in the blink of an eye, allowing her to continue killing Wu Yu's clones without any worries. You are so small, but you still want to defeat me. Mr. White Ghost, you really have a false reputation. Qin Yuling couldn't help but sneer. Wu Yu admitted that she was indeed very capable, but the current battle was still under his control. When the avatar was performing the impermanent soul-burning world technique, his hand was entangled with the Wuvong soul hooking lock. Go. Under the swing of the huge power of his body, the Wuvu soul hooking chains spread all over the world, entangled one by one, and the combined length is probably tens of thousands of miles, or even extended, endless. Buzz. As the soul-burning process ended, thousands of Wuvu soul-seducing locks, which carried the top-level rules of the soul-seducing heavenly rules, were like sharp arrows, carrying the soul-burning fire, and struck towards the barrier. Under Wu Yu's physical distance, the penetrating ability of the Wuvu soul hooking lock has been greatly increased, especially when it still carries the soul-burning fire. Boom. For a moment, the ferocious Wuvu soul hooking lock was like a large number of giant dragons, rushing against the barrier. What Wu Yu showed at this time was extraordinary strength. This terrifying impact directly caused the Taixu artifact barrier instantly shattered into pieces. The reason why the impact was so huge was actually because Wu Yu secretly incorporated some of the power of the Oblivion Cloud Seal, causing the barrier to shatter in the void and disintegrate from the inside, allowing Wu Yu to impact from the outside, so Qin Yuling didn't expect it. The outside is shattered. This chapter is not over, please click on the next page to continue reading. After the Taixu artifact shattered, Qin Yuling was shocked. At this time, she had no choice but to use the mirror to protect her body. In a short period of time, she sent out a lot of messenger talismans. She must have wanted others to protect her. It seems that she has realized that the difference between the Chalk Ghost King and the King at this time is likely to defeat her. But the fact is that the Wuvu soul-seducing chain smashed the barrier, carrying countless soul-burning fires. The soul-burning fires were attached to the chains, interlocking with each other, and instantly surrounded Qin Yuling's body. Qin Yuling tried to entangle him, but Wu Yu moved quickly and fiercely. For a moment, the Wuvu soul hooking lock was like crazy, circling around Qin Yuling, entangled him in an instant, and even the Wu Yu mirror in his hand was banned. The Wuvu soul hooking lock has the power to confuse the mind and shake the spiritual consciousness. Coupled with the burning soul-burning fire, it adheres to his body and instantly burns his clothes. Only the beautiful ketone body was left, displayed in front of Wu Yu's eyes. Of course, Wu Yu's Wuvu soul hooking lock and soul-burning fire also covered it almost completely. At this time, using the Taixu artifact and the soul-burning fire to seal the opponent almost proves Wu Yu's victory. He used his own cultivation and magical powers plus the methods of the Crete Ghost King to cooperate with the Taixu artifact to achieve a miraculous effect. He actually defeated Qin Yuling with head-on suppression, and he didn't even use the cloud seal. Under the threat of the soul-burning fire, Qin Yuling let out bursts of soft moans and screams of pain. Her beautiful figure wanted to shake open the Weavue soul-educating lock. Under the friction, the Weavue soul-educating lock made a creaking sound. It looks like it is about to break, but the other party is not really injured. Once it is freed, it will not be so easy to block it again. She had already found a helper, but Wu Yu also had to save time. He appeared in front of Qin Yuling in the form of a white ghost king with a sinister smile on his face. His eyes were dirty and full of desire. This look would make any woman feel afraid. If you want this proud guy to hand over the 9 colored beads but don't want to kill her, there is only one way. Crake Ghost Lord. How dare you do this to me? My mother will definitely kill you. You are dead. Qin Yuling's face turned pale, and from the look in Bai Gijun's eyes, she could read what Wu Yu wanted to do. That was something she definitely didn't want to happen with him. On the contrary, if my father knew that I had favored such a proud beauty like you, he would be so impressed with me. Wu Yu appeared in front of him and laughed. You are looking for death. Qin Yuling's whole body turned red with anger, and his purple hair and purple eyes were full of humiliation and despair. Wu Yu loosened part of the chains and showed his beautiful body in front of him. He smiled and said, "You treated me like this before. I won't be polite to you, let alone waste my time. After all, you are looking for someone, so let's see who is faster. From now on, I will enjoy your wonderful little body. Whenever you hand over the 9 color beads, I will stop. Of course, the sooner the better, otherwise it will be too late. After a while, we became husband and wife, and it will be too late for you to regret it. I heard that you are a yellow flower girl. If you take advantage of me, of course I will wake up laughing in my dreams, haha, Gigi, it is so wonderful, a beauty like you. I really have never owned it. This is the only way to make the other party hand over the treasure under fear. After all, this guy despises the White Ghost King and cannot tolerate having such a relationship with him. Now that it is not covered in front of his eyes, it is already a great shame and humiliation. If you hesitate and let him succeed, you will really regret it for the rest of your life, and you may even want to commit suicide. Crake Ghost Lord. I swear, I will make your soul fly to pieces in this life. That's not okay, you can't murder your husband. Wu Yu chuckled, looking at the other person's body greedily, and already raised a pair of big hands towards his body. Qin Yuling's last anger and threats were completely unable to stop Wu Yu. She absolutely knew what the reputation of the White Ghost King was. If she was controlled by him at this time and was really disobedient, he would definitely have the courage. As he said, if you do that, by then, it will be really too late. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Feng Qing Yang. Chapter 1459. Near Kinyu Star, hundreds of millions of ghosts and gods finally dispersed. In fact, there are still some coming here, but they are late. The number of ghost kings in the starry sky hell is definitely not just hundreds of millions, and some even come here from other hells. Anyway, there is no restriction on the realm of the Realm Master here. Among them, the news about the 6 9-color beads has spread. The people who got them are Gu Ru Shenjun, Moug, Qing Xianxianjun, Xianyang Emperor, Qin Yunling, and Bama Ghost King. Among them, Qin Yunling's 9-color beads are rumored to be taken away by Bake Ghost King, but not many people believe it. Among them, those who are not descendants of Emperor Xian or Emperor Demon are Qing Xianxianjun and Bama Ghost King. People's targets are basically these two people, at least they think that the 9-color beads on them are the easiest to snatch, and there is no need to worry about revenge by Emperor Xian or Emperor Demon. Therefore, The entire starry sky hell is looking for these two people in the following time, which is simply a dragnet. If these people knew the truth, that this was all Wu Yu, I wonder how their faces would be. Wu Yu now has half of the 9 color beads, and he is considered to be the one who has taken the lead, but he knows that if he doesn't get all of them, it still doesn't matter. There are less than 10 years left, and these beads are purely a waste. So, time is running out, and the difficulty of dealing with people is quite huge, so he also asked the prison masters and ghost kings who are loyal to him to search for the existence of these people. The starry sky hell is too big, and it is really not easy to find them if they really hide. So, Wu Yu is also thinking of a way. At least it is certain that Emperor Xuanhuan has also taken the prison masters and ghost kings who are loyal to him to hide. Gu Ru Shenjun, Moug, and the last storm Silver Blade Ball have never shown up. Qin Yunling was looking for the White Ghost King all over the world, but Wu Yu didn't let her find him. Whenever Qin Yunling thought of the robbery that day, she gritted her teeth and wished that the White Ghost King would be tortured to death. Of course, for all the beings in the starry sky hell, the one who really seemed to have evaporated from the face of the earth was the White-Eyed Ghost King. He shone in the storm Silver Blade Ball, took away the treasure, and then disappeared, and no one could find him. The current starry sky hell is very sensitive, and occasionally a little movement can attract a large group of people. In a remote corner of this starry sky hell, Wu Yu appeared in a star in his original form. He forcibly sacrificed the life-reducing yin pen of the Mo Yin Ghost King, and now he can use a certain degree of life-reducing heavenly rule. When the Ghost King Mo Yin was killed by Bai Mao, the whereabouts of the yin pen of short life were unknown. In fact, it was transferred out by the storm Silver Blade Ball, and the Ghost King Bai Ke was also transferred out, so he got the yin pen of short life. This explanation is acceptable. In this way, I can use these two Tegzu artifacts. The yin pen of short life and the Wuivong soul catching lock are no worse than the mirror of wrongful death and the 9 yin emperor demon battle halberd. They are at the same level as the Taixuanation of the God King Guruo and the 9 heavens fairy sound of Moug. The yin pen of short life has enriched his fighting methods. Now there are more than 9 years left. Wu Yu is also seizing the time to strengthen himself, and at the same time he is trying to find an effective method for the God King Guruo, Moug and Emperor Xuanhuan. Huo Wu Huangjun is coming out of the fusion tower. What's the matter? Don't worry, I want to report that I'm safe so that Bai Mo Fengjun and the others can feel at ease. Send the communication fairy talisman, show me the content, Wu Yu said. Got it? Stingy, now it is Huo Wu Huangjun who is in control of the body. Wu Yu's control over her is not strict, she actually has a lot of freedom. Maybe she is afraid that Nangong Wei will also use extreme means, or maybe it is because she mistakenly believes that Wu Yu has violated her body countless times. Her psychology has changed a little, and she seems to have accepted her fate, but Wu Yu is not absolutely confident in her. He also wondered if he needed to permanently destroy her so that Nangong Wei could survive. Moreover, she knew more and more of his secrets. After Huo Wu Huangjun came out, the communication fairy talisman he sent mainly told Bai Mo Fengjun and the others that he was fine, but he needed to hide, and he would see him again after he got out. Wu Yu also cut off the possibility of the Eternal Phoenix clan following this communication fairy talisman to find it back. By the way, have you made a choice? Do you choose her or your dragon? After sending it, Huo Wu Huangjun suddenly asked. As far as she knew, Wu Yu and Luo Bin had the best relationship. Between him and Nangong Wei, it was more of a bond, and then a kind of relationship that lasted for tens of thousands of years. Why do you have to care? This is my body. Wu Yu did not answer. You want to be like this, hugging left and right? Dream on. Huo Wu Huangjun looked at him angrily. Sometimes, she was also quite interesting. She was too lazy to look at Wu Yu again. Not long after, Nangong Wei came out and asked, "What's wrong with her, so angry. Wu Yu smiled and said, nothing. There are less than 10 years left. Is there a way to get rid of her? Nangongwei looked at the distant starry sky and asked. Wu Yu shook his head. Nangongwei pursed her lips and suddenly smiled. After a long time, we will feel a spiritual connection, and even feel like we have become one. It's amazing. In fact, I think she is quite pitiful, and it was not intentional. If she is willing to maintain this kind of coexistence, there is no need to kill her. Are you sure? But Wu Yu felt that for the safety and future of the two of them, it would be safer to kill her. Now Lord Huahuang doesn't seem to have any thoughts, but he is not sure how powerful the entire Eternal Phoenix clan is. By the way, how are you and Luo Bin? Wu Yu didn't want to hide it from her, so he said, in the Immortal Dragon Emperor realm, as long as I am comparable to the Immortal King, I can marry her. Nangongwei trembled slightly, then looked at Wu Yu with a smile and said, congratulations, you have achieved your goal. In total, it only takes more than 9 years. You can be considered to have achieved perfection. Moreover, Wu Yu and Luo Bin were already married. Looking back on that night of true intimacy, I still feel a little unsatisfied. It was still a little strange for her to say congratulations. Huo Wu and I have discussed it, and we are both willing to coexist peacefully. She also recognizes me as a sister. From now on, we think that if we two practice together, set a good time and restrain each other, if one day we can become the immortal Emperor Immortal, it will also if you can have eternal time, it doesn't matter how long it is. Sleeping occasionally is not bad and has no impact. Are you sure? Of course it's confirmed. Maybe I won't be able to be there when you get married. Speaking of which, the Immortal Dragon Emperor realm won't let me in, Nangongwei said. Her tone was much calmer, but in her eyes, with strong persistence, maybe this is her decision, to pursue their path is also eternal life. Wu Yu pursed his lips, not knowing what to say. After a while, he said, the world is unpredictable, and ideas are changing. Let's wait and see what changes will happen in the remaining time. It is not certain who will own the 10th grade Immortal King seal, and whether it will be able to be born. Then I'm going back. She is relatively quiet in the Fusion Tower. Hell is not as beautiful as heaven, there really is nothing worth appreciating. Wu Yu didn't stop her. Anyway, he made her come back to life, so he left it to him. Remembering that Luo Bin was still waiting for him in the Immortal Dragon Emperor realm, he knew that he needed to be more focused. He had actually accomplished his goal now, but if he could go back with the 10th grade Immortal King seal, the feeling would definitely be different. It was difficult to make progress in a short time now, so he focused on the other 3 people who had obtained the 9 color beads. He had to get what they had before the end of time. Wu Yu still targeted Emperor Xianshang. After all, the other 2 I don't know how deep to hide. On the contrary, Emperor Xianshang has power here, so he doesn't need to hide too much. He once again used the identity of the White Ghost King, and then sent out a message, he would have an open and fair showdown with Emperor Xianshang. Both sides would bring 3 prison masters as supervisors, and then they would face off under supervision, and the loser would surrender. 9 colored beads. Such a provocation spread quickly throughout the starry sky hell, and I believe anyone who is interested will hear it. Wu Yu even agreed on the location of Haole, waiting for the arrival of Emperor Xianshang near Kinyu Star. Logically speaking, there must be more prison masters who have taken refuge with Emperor Xianshang than with Lord Bai Chuogui. He should be fearless in a head-on confrontation. As a result, Emperor Xianzhuang did not come, but Qin Yuling did come, with such a fierce momentum that Wu Yu could only avoid the edge for the time being. This Emperor Xianshang is really forbearing. He was indifferent to my provocation. But he is definitely interested in my 9 color beads. Isn't there not much time left, so aren't they in a hurry? There is really not much time, of course, if you really want to grab it, If the opportunity arises, you may be able to get it done in 30 breaths of time. As for the ancient Holmium Divine Lord and Moug, there was no way to attract them in this way. Wu Yu could only ask the prison masters and ghost kings to search for the whereabouts of the giant spirit god clan and the immortal lord of the palace of the heavenly king controlling the kingdom. If they found them, they might be able to asking for their whereabouts and facing them. Wu Yu had the prison master at his disposal, so he didn't need to do anything himself. But as time went by, no progress was made on either Emperor Xuanshang's side or the Immortals' side. They all hid very tightly. Only the White Ghost King was more high profile, and Qin Yuling was robbed of the 9-color beads. It has become a joke, so now as soon as Wu Yu appears, Qin Yuling will immediately chase him, which is also a problem. So calm. Time waits for no one, and several years have passed in the blink of an eye, but there is still no movement from them. Wu Yu's movement is the biggest one. Seeing that this century-old war is coming to an end. In the last few years, Wu Yu figured it out. At the beginning, we collected 10 gates of hell to open the passage to the starry sky hell. Now there are 6 beads. And the 10th grade immortal king seal, according to the character of the Jade Emperor, will 10 beads be designed? So, maybe there is an era divine formation. Heaven swallowing record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 1460. As time passed and there was still no movement from the other people, Wu Yu also had a hunch that the third era divine formation might be getting closer and closer. With just 1 month left, news really came. Approaching the immortal lords, passing through the gate of Starry Sky Hell, and arriving at the location of Starry Sky Hell, the third era divine array appeared. Of course, this time the situation is special and it is not considered the era divine formation. The news was passed to Wu Yu from the Blood Hell prison lord. He said, that whole area is called the Black Star Field. It is a star field with almost no stars, and it is completely empty. At the core of the Black Ming Star territory, a huge immortal palace appeared. It was magnificent, with a plaque hanging on it. It was called the 10th grade Immortal King's Palace. This clearly shows that this place was designed by the Jade Emperor to compete for the 10th grade Immortal King. The final place of sealing. I suggest you go here immediately, because the whole starry hell will definitely get the news and go there, and I am also on the way there. In the Black Star territory, what appeared was not an era divine formation, but a palace. Since it was called the 10th grade Immortal King's Palace, it must be Wu Yu's last chance. He guessed, perhaps if no one can collect all the 9-color beads in the end, no one will get the 10th grade Immortal King seal in this battle for the Taizhou Immortal Road. Everyone still has a chance. He asked the Blood Hell prison master, are we going to unite this time and ban the 10th grade Immortal King's Palace first? I suggest that we recruit the Ghost Kings who deployed the Star-Gathering 1000 Jew array last time. Or kill them, otherwise even if the immortal formation is set up again, it will be easy for them to destroy it. From the current point of view, the chaotic situation is not good for Wu Yu. If most of the mob can be kept out, the Ghost King, the Prison Master, and the descendants of the Emperor Demon will definitely do this. The only troublesome thing is that now that he is the White Ghost King, it is not so easy for him to live in peace with Emperor Xuanshang and Qin Yuling. As a result, the Lord of the Blood Hell prison said, it won't work this time. The situation has changed. It may be the design and restrictions of the Jade Emperor. In the vast Black Star territory, no matter who it is, after entering, the power will be affected to a certain extent. Due to the ban, it is said that within the Black Star territory, no matter the realm Lord God realm or the Taizhou Ghost realm, one cannot use their power in battle. They can only rush and protect the body. As a prisoner, I am afraid that in this Black Star territory, can't even kill a Ghost King. Upon hearing the news, Wu Yu frowned and said, I understand, this is the Jade Emperor, who is restricting us from setting up the immortal array, or blocking others from entering the 10th rank Immortal King's palace. As long as those hidden Immortal Lords enter, in the Black Ming Star territory, we can't stop them from entering the 10th rank Immortal King's palace. This is specially designed for the Immortal Lord. Otherwise, just like last time, their heavenly court Immortal Lord will have no chance at all. Even you, the prison master, must honestly enter the 10th level Immortal King's palace to challenge. Otherwise, if they, the descendants of the Emperor Demon, unite with the prison master Ghost King, create a 100,000 layer purgatory whirlpool array, and gather billions of ghosts and gods, how can the Immortal Kings from heaven have a chance? Wu Yu smiled inwardly. This is actually a good thing. In this way, the hidden ancient Holmium god and Moug will definitely appear. Although there is not much time left, at least there is a chance to meet them. If they appear again last time with that kind of storm silver blade ball, these two people may only be able to hold on to the end with 9 color beads, so in the end no one will be able to get the 10th grade Immortal King seal. The Lord of the Blood Hell Prison said, the Black Ming Star territory is too big. We cannot ban the entire Black Ming Star territory in less than 10 years, so we cannot prevent Byren from entering the 10th grade Immortal King's palace. No matter whether it is those Immortal Kings or the ragtag group of Ghost Kings, they will be able to enter the 10th level Immortal King palace smoothly now. It seems that you have to rely on your true skills to set off soon. In fact, Wu Yu had already set off at this time, heading towards the Black Ming Star territory at full speed. I wonder what difficulties and obstacles there will be in the 10th rank Immortal King's palace. The long-awaited opportunity has finally arrived. Now Wu Yu has a huge advantage in both cultivation and status. He has made sufficient preparations for this final decisive battle and final competition. He also called the other prison masters, who were all loyal to him, and everyone set off there together. Anyway, the news would spread sooner or later. As expected, in fact, on the third day after Wu Yu got the news, the 10th grade Immortal King Palace, the news has shocked the whole hell. In fact, at this time, there are still a steady stream of Ghost Kings arriving. Now that they have received the news, and they also know that there will be no more obstacles there, they can all enter the 10th level Immortal King Palace, so many of them, and even some who are at the first and second level of the Realm Lord God realm, want to try your luck marrying there. Especially in the starry sky hell, any star has reached a sensational level. The scene was very sensational. Billions of ghosts and gods heard that everyone has a chance and will not be intercepted by the Ghost King and Prison Master. They are like crucian carp crossing the river. There are countless of them. Some lucky ones are relatively close to each other, but even if they enter Hyming Star territory, in such a huge place, it is not particularly easy to find the 10th grade Immortal King's Palace. It is said that many people have seen many Immortal Lords in the Black Star territory. The first reason is because the gate of Star Hell is within the Black Star territory. The second reason is that as long as you enter it, there is no need to worry about attacks by ghosts and gods. Faced with the final opportunity, the Immortal Kings will naturally not miss it. Besides, the Tegzu Immortal Road has already entered its end. Many people came here to try their luck because they saw that there was nothing to gain. Therefore, there are definitely many Immortals in the Haiming Star region. When Wu Yu arrived at the Haiming Star region, there were actually quite a few people inside. The entire Haiming Star region is very large. He quickly entered it and found that his world power was suppressed to a certain extent. His forward speed and dodging ability were not affected. His physical body was also very strong, but he could not release it or use it to perform magical powers. It was like having a body of power, but his hands and legs were tied up. The same was true for those prison masters. Therefore, no one had an advantage in the Haiming Star region, let alone setting up immortal formations. For the weak ghosts and immortals, as long as they entered the Haiming Star region, they were basically safe. Wu Yu had the star map given by the prison masters. Those prison masters were faster than him. It was almost time. Wu Yu followed the star map and headed towards the 10th grade Immortal King Palace at full speed. It was said that the 10th grade Immortal King Palace was still closed and it was unknown what was inside. Although most of the ghost gods and immortals were still looking for the 10th grade Immortal King Palace in the Black Ming Star region, they had already found the target and arrived nearby. It was said that there were already hundreds of thousands of people, and there were quite a few immortals among them. But I haven't heard that Gu Ru Shenjun and Moug showed up yet. The Jade Emperor really set it up as he wanted. He is worthy of being a figure who has practiced for hundreds of millions of years. The Supreme of the Tiangong Immortal Domain is really terrible. I just don't know what kind of divine power he designed this time. The 10th grade Immortal King Palace has. Wu Yu was also full of expectations. His goal of getting the Immortal King seal had been achieved, and at the same time, Nangong Wei's matter was also resolved. Now he was making this last desperate effort, all for the 10th grade Immortal King seal. Unable to display strength, it feels like being tied up, which is really uncomfortable. However, Wu Yu finally saw the vast 10th grade Immortal King Palace. This palace is really magnificent and vast. In hell, you can't see such a magnificent and spectacular palace. It is like a work of art. There is a building every 5 steps and a pavilion every 10 steps. It is full of light and beautiful. The fairy mist is lingering, making people feel as if they have returned to heaven. There are music and singing everywhere, and the world is peaceful and prosperous. Everything is beautiful and wonderful, making people intoxicated. This 10th grade Immortal King Palace has a large number of palace gates, all in the east, south, west and north, but they are still closed at this time, and everyone is tied up. Before Wu Yu arrived, there were already prison masters who tried to open the palace gates, but they failed in the end. Wu Yu roughly knew where the Blood Nether Prison Master, Xiankong Prison Master, Volcano Prison Master and Lei Yang Prison Master were, but there was no need to meet them for the time being. They just needed to fight for it normally. It is said that Qin Yunling has also arrived and is looking for the Cretaceous Ghost King. Wu Yu is now in the form of the Cretaceous Ghost King. Of course, now in this forbidden Haiming Star region, even if Qin Yunling finds him, he can't do anything to him. After Wu Yu came here, he quickly approached the 10th rank Immortal King Palace and came to one of the palace gates. At this time, a large number of people had gathered at the palace gate. Everyone couldn't do anything and could only rely on brute force to squeeze. In terms of physical strength, no one could stop Wu Yu. Get out of the way. He rushed forward all the way, and everyone was shocked. Someone was about to curse, but suddenly heard someone shouting Cretaceous Ghost King. For a moment, everyone dispersed and made way for Wu Yu. In this crowd, Wu Yu also saw groups of immortal kings gathered together. Keep an eye on Gu Ru Shenjun, Moug, Xianyang Daijun, Qing Xianzianjun, Bai Mao and others. Wu Yu sent a message to the prison masters. Now only the immortal talisman can be used. Understood. He stood in front of the gate of the 10th grade Immortal King Palace. The ghosts, gods, and immortals around him were all looking at him sideways. No one dared to stand within 100 feet around him. Does the Jade Emperor mean to wait until more people come before opening it, or let us find a way to open it? Wu Yu was searching the gate of the 10th grade Immortal King Palace to see if there were any mechanisms inside. There were not many people now, so it would be best if he could get in.